Hey everyone, for today we're going to talk about this week's update for PSO2 NGS, and as you guys may have noticed from this video's title, SEGA being SEGA, they came out with some more gear this week after we just got some, but of course they didn't tell us in advance that we were going to be getting any this week. So the ones that I'm talking about are these new Einea armor variants, Arga, Belta, and Sheza. These are just like the Octo armor ones, where they are hybrid variants for this type of armor. So they only have two types of potency on them. So like the Sheza one has melee potency and tech potency, but no range potency whatsoever. The other two that got added follow the same exact pattern, but Belta is ranged and tech only, and then the Arga is melee and ranged only. So why would you go for these? Because if you noticed already, the potency is the same exact thing as like the regular Einea armors or the VOs and Betas, but it's just in the two potency types as we just saw. Well, the main difference for them is because of the substats, the HP and photon points that you can get out of these armors. The way that you would look at these before is that the regular Einea armors, the orange kind, have a balance of 20 HP and 2 photon points, while the green ones are the more tanky, so they don't have the photon points, but they do have 30 HP. Then the VOs have 6 photon points, but no HP. So with the new hybrids now in the mix, though, they actually have 35 HP and 7 photon points, and that goes for each of them. So they're now stronger in their substats versus a Vita, because it has 5 more HP, but it also has the photon points, which is also higher than what the VO has. So it's a weird mix where this is technically better than the previous armors completely, as long as you don't care about having all 3 potency types for your build. Which, if I'm going to be honest, I think that's the majority of the player base, only using 2 or 1 potency type for like a singular weapon, and they would have gone for these for sure over the previous Einea armors if they knew that these were going to exist. But because they didn't, a lot of people have already upgraded into the previous Einea armors that came out just a week ago. So I wish SEGA would have done that differently, said something about these. So like if we wanted to hold off, we could, but now it's too late. So where do these new Einea armors actually come from, though? The Arga, Beltas, and Shezas. Well, it comes out of limited time content, which currently there's a limited time quest just to do that. The Dustyl Vera Suppression Op version 2. This is an 8-man quest based off the old Dustyl Vera urgent quest, which is now upscaled and leveled to level 80 and requires a battle power of 3649 to enter. But it's not just a direct carbon copy of that old quest. You now will be facing starless enemies inside with starless bosses, which can be good for getting certain titles done for extra star gems. They've changed up the pathing a little bit, so you're going in different spots. There's going to be sky chargers that you can take advantage of to do extra damage with dive attacks. There's also some other starless enemies in there that can be a little bit of a challenge, like healing other enemies inside, which could be a problem in later quests too. And the final Dustyl Vera boss is a Malevolent or Gigantics version. So you might have a difficult time trying to survive against that boss because it's hitting way harder than usual. But I think, just like before with the old urgent quest, you should have a fun time with this. At least I did. For the rewards, though, you can get Rayjord weapons, the new 10-star series, the Einea armor, the regular orange one, and the new variants, the Arga, Belta, Sheza that I've mentioned, and then a whole bunch of useful materials that are used in a ton of exchanges or just to put onto your gear, like growth mints, gigastrug mints, LC augments, and even materials used to craft the new Rayjord series. On top of all that, there is a daily task where if you complete the limited time quest and get an S rank, you do get a special scratch ticket. So a pretty good quest to farm over and over again, especially if you don't really like farming the Gorge all the time to get the Rayjord materials. Back to these armors, though, this LTQ is the only way to currently get the Arga, Belta, and Sheza variants of these. I think that's just going to be the case for all limited time quests going forward until they decide to regularly drop these armors in some permanent content. They did the same exact thing with the Octo armor, Arga, Beltas, and Shezas until last week, where they now drop at a normal rate in the Rayjord Gorge in Caveris. So for other opportunities in the future, it's going to be almost like constant when they have a limited time quest. So like the limited time urgent quest, Halfie Lake Counterattack Part 2, that's a long name, on the 14th, we'll probably be able to drop them. And then like the LTQ later in the month, the Plateau Cleanup Op 24 on the 28th, we'll be able to drop them. Stuff like that you should be able to get these armors. Before you do decide to actually upgrade into these variants, though, I do have a theory in the near future that we'll be getting a purple variant, kind of like we got with Clarier armors, Giant, that kind of stuff, where they're going to be a glass cannon armor, but the Einea armor, so 9-star. So in April, there's going to be a purple Battle Dia added, and typically when they add a completely new one of those, there will be a new purple armor that will be the best for DPS. So if you want to hold off until then, or just keep in mind that that will most likely happen, that is your date where a new armor should show up. If you do want to upgrade now with these Einea armors, though, like I said, technically these new Arga, Belta, Sheza variants are like the better for like substats, but you do got to keep in mind the rarities of these different armors. The orange ones are way common, especially in the Gorge and Caveris, so you can get Fixas way easier and at like higher levels. And a Fixa at high levels is going to be way more important to you than just a little bit more HP and like a little bit more photon points. So just keep that in mind if you can't get a like high Fixa on these variants of armors. Moving on with the rest of the update, it's more minor things or like scratches and stuff. But for this, we have SG build parts added to the creative spaces. It's not even really like new ones. They're more different colors of the Gothic and fancy themed furniture. So if you want a different color of those, you can grab those up. There is a new AC scratch, Starlight Fashion. I do think personally the male outfit is a little bit weird looking, but maybe you can put in some good innerwear or like body paint to kind of cover this section up, unless if you don't want to. But then you can also put outerwear on this because this is considered a base wear. So you might be able to change it up plenty enough. But then the females also get that. They also get a couple of more outfits on top. And then there's some like good emotes like holding flowers, kind of like a Valentine's theme since that's coming up. Idle to the beat. And then you can have a like segue pretty much with the gyro runner. You can get that in almost every motion change available. So if you want to be permanently on one, you can. There's also some innerwears that they didn't show off, like some Moro innerwear for type 2s. And then the Rappy innerwear for type 1s. And then just like the whole different variants of the same kind of outfits we just saw. But then on top of that, there's a holding up a board emote, which could be pretty nice to have. Just kind of showing off, you know, flexing a little bit. Portable holograms galore. Some good hairstyles. I particularly like this really fresh hair, like with the blindfold-ish there. Then just some other additional things, like per usual. I think some popular ones, though, would be this waist-tied plaid shirt. This, I think, is based off of something from base game, but is now in NGS spec. So it's a little bit updated in graphics. Yeah, 6.2 mil here on Ship 3. The flower shower effect, another Valentine's themed like thing. 3.8 mil. So some good stuff in here and should definitely check it out. To help with getting AC for scratches like that or whatever else that you want to use it on, there are these sales and discounts available up until the 20th. Where you can get 2200 AC for just $10. This is limited to one purchase at each store. So if you do have it downloaded multiple times, like for the different versions, you can take advantage of this technically multiple times, just once per store. But on the Steam store specifically, you get an additional bonus, or if you do purchase a total of 2200 AC, which can be through this, you receive an additional 1200 AC on top. But that's only one time again. But also for Steam only, there is this discount available for certain bundles that also goes to the 20th for the 1000 AC and the 10,000 AC, where it is 30% off, and that's one time only for each one. On the topic of AC, the Modish Winter 24 AC scratch is still suspended from like a couple weeks back, and they did put an update on here that it will resume at some point, and you can still use the tickets if you've gotten any to use as like, you know, the scratch count bonuses. And your scratch count bonus, if you've been building that up for this particular scratch from before, will not just, you know, magically reset or anything. You'll start where you left off. But the reason why it was like put away is because the eyelids that came from this AC scratch were displayed thicker than intended. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more than that because that doesn't sound like too big of an issue. But I guess it was enough for SEGA to temporarily take it down until the problem is corrected. But the last thing that I want to talk about today, if some of you played last week, you might remember crashing a lot in the Gorge in Caveris, and the torches in that zone were temporarily taken down because that was apparently part of the issue. So the crashing stopped, but the torches were completely turned off. So now those torches should be turned back on so you can get their buffs for extra damage and cold immunity, as you see with the aura here. But it seems like the sound effect is still suspended, which that, I guess, is part of why everybody was crashing. So that will be fixed eventually, but to be honest, I don't think that's too big of a deal for most people, and it should be back to normal. But because I didn't get a chance to really explain how these torches worked last week since they were taken down so quickly, there are these grand torches in the Gorge that are always on, and then these smaller torches that you have to light up with having the heat coating. So as long as you have something from the grand torches, you can keep lighting up these smaller ones to keep on the buff, so you don't have to go all the way back to a grand torch. And also, if other players light up these torches for you, you can also see it on your screen and take the buff too. Hopefully now, moving forward, since these torches work now, we don't have to worry about low temp damage using boosters or augments to go around that mechanic. And I don't know, maybe make it a little bit more interesting with the torches too, if they want to do this in the future. But let me know what you guys think of this week's update. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.